Hi, good morning. This is Janice with Needles and Fashion, and I'm here to give you a tutorial on how to make a really fancy pair of sweatpants using Simplicity 1429 View E. View E has pleats in the front, and I want to be able to make some really fancy sweatpants with pleats in the front. This calls for a wide leg pants. And although it's very flattering, I don't really care for it. I definitely got this with the intentions of making these particular sweatpants. So this is going to need a little bit of adjustment. The fabric that I have for this pattern is a standard sweatpants fabric that I got from Joann's for $9.99 a yard. And I was able to use a 40% off coupon. Excuse me, it was already on sale for 50% off the knits. So I purchased this yesterday. So right now they're running a promotion for 50% off of their knits. So I got that. I went ahead and purchased 3 yards because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it at first, but this is what I'll be doing with this pattern. So what I did was I already made the adjustments for the back piece. And for the back piece, these sweatpants, I don't want them to be super long. So what I did was measure from my belly button down to the stopping point, or just above the stopping point. And for me, that's 30 inches. So I cut this back piece with 30 inches, and I used a 3.5 to 4 inch measurements on both sides of the bottom of the leg to construct the slimming of the garment. I'm going to do the same thing with the front piece so that you can see. The front piece is going to be a little bit thicker than the back because this part of the actual pattern is very wide. So I don't want to alter the construction of the pattern too much, but I want to make sure that I can get the look that I want to get from it. So first of all, the first thing I'm going to do is measure down my 30 inches and cut that off. So I'm going to mark this here. And take my ruler here. Make sure that's straight, and I'm going to cut that off. Set that aside. The next thing I'm going to do is start at the crotch area and use my inventions for slimming of the pants. So I'm going to mark 4.5 inches here because this, again, the front part of the pants is definitely wider than the back. And I want to have a consistency. So it's about 1 inch wider. So I want to do 4.5 inches mark for these. And I'm going to use those to draft down to the actual crotch area. I'm not going to disturb the crotch area of this pattern. So I'm going to come to the very edge of the crotch. And you can draw a line if you're not comfortable with doing this way. Got that on that side. Now I'm going to do the left side, and I'm starting from where the hip would be. For me, that would be right where the crotch line is. So from the crotch line down, here's my marking. Right to the edge of the garment. Okay, so now I have my front piece prepared. There's nothing else that you need to do alteration-wise to this. You know, once I construct this and put it together, there's probably some adjustments that I'm going to have to make, but I'm not going to, I won't be able to visualize it right now. This is the first time that I'm actually doing it, so you guys are learning trial by fire, just like I am, or I'm doing it, and then you can see what doesn't need to be done, and you can do it yourself. So I have that. Now, there's also a casing for the top, which is about 2 inches. I'm also going to be using that casing to make a bottom casing for this pattern. I'm not quite sure yet if I'm going to put elastic in it, but I'm going to make about 1.5 to 2 inches casing for the bottom just to give that finished look that's consistent with the top and the bottom, which is different from this pattern. So I'm not gonna go there yet. I'm just gonna get these 2 pieces and I'm gonna cut out my fabric. And then I'll be back and we'll start working on the top waistband and the cuffs for the ankles. So we'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and cut out my pattern pieces, my front and my back, 2 of each. And I went ahead and cut a waistband. And what I did was I didn't follow the directions of the actual pattern. What I did was measured out the length of my my waist, which is 29 inches. I cut a double strip for that. So, and I did a basic 5/8 of an inch seam on the edge, so I can go ahead and make a casing in case I decide to do the elastic, and it'll be folded over and it'll have that thickness that I need for a waistband. I also went ahead and did the same for the ankle pieces. That's what you call it. I went ahead and cut 10 inches, which is the measurement around the area where I want my sweatpants to stop. And I cut it exactly 10 inches and put a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance on it. I did that because this fabric stretches and I want it to be a snug fit. So I went ahead and cut it true to size and did a 5/8 of an inch seam on it. So one last thing I did, and it's not part of the pattern, is I wanted to have a pocket on these sweatpants. So I went ahead and cut, I drafted this as a funny looking pocket, but I don't really use pockets, but I wanted to have that effect. So I'm going to put side pockets on this pattern. It's not going to change anything as far as the layout of the pattern. I just cut 4 pieces so I can just put a pocket on each side. So now that I have that done, the next thing you're going to do is prep your front pieces for your pleats. So I've already did one side. I'm going to go ahead and do the next. Okay. All right, let me grab that pattern piece. Okay, so your pattern has markings to show you not only where your pleats go, but the direction in which you'll be folding your pleats. So what I do is I take a light colored pencil marker and I'm marking where those pleats are. And since these pleats are coming towards me, I'm going to start at the end. I'm just going to pleat it from one line to the other. Put a pin in it. And there's only 3 of them. And you have solid lines and you have dotted lines. So the solid lines are folding over to the dotted lines. Okay, that's it. Can you see that? I have my 3 pleats, and now I'm ready to go ahead and stay stitch that. So that it doesn't move. Scoot over here to the machine. I'm just going to do a basic stay stitch over the area that I folded for my pleats. I'm going to do that with a 1/4 of an inch seam so it doesn't show when I put my waistband on. So I got that done. I can take my pins out. Cut my strings off. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other front. Just want to check this real quick, make sure I'm not creating a duplicate of both sides since I'm not going according to the pattern. And I am, so I need to turn this over. I'm just going to use this really quick to do my markings so I don't have to look at it from the other side. This is it. Yeah, I'm just going to fold this real quick, and it's going towards the crotch line, so that doesn't change. Okay, so we got that squared away. I'm going to go ahead and turn it this way because I don't want the pleats to be disturbed. So I'm going to sew in the direction of the pleats. And that's done. Take my pins out. And, you know, there's only a dart in the back, which I'll get to, but what I want to do first is go ahead and attach my pocket piece to each front piece. I'm going to attach it using a 1/4 inch seam. And do the same with the other side. Okay, so that's done. My front piece has a very small dart in it, so for sake of me not going to go pick up that paper off the floor, I'm just going to go ahead, fold this in half where the actual curve for the dart is, and we're going to make a 5/8 of an inch dart. And we're going to come down about 3 inches on the start. That piece. This one's going to go this way. I'm going to fold that in half. And do the same thing. Come on, pedal. Okay, so we have our 2 darts. On the back pieces, I'm going to go ahead and attach the pocket for those pieces too. Quarter inch of the seam on this one. Attaching this other pocket. Okay, so I have my pocket sewn on. I have my darts and my pleats in place. So what I'm going to do now is start prepping for the attachment of the front and the back. I'm going to cut off some strings here, prep and pin that so we can go ahead and attach the front to the back, and I'll be back to show you that portion. Okay, so I went ahead and got the right side of my pants constructed. I closed off the pocket. I have my back here, and I also attached the little ankle portion for the bottom. Very simple. So we're going to go ahead and do the same with the left side of the pants. The first thing I'm going to do is finish off my pocket. I'm going to start about 1/4 inch past the seam line. Out. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and sew down 5/8 of an inch of a seam of the side from the side seams. I'm going to come down about 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to come up 1.5 before the end of my pockets and sew the rest of the 5/8 of an inch seam all the way down to the end of the leg. Alright, I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to start from the crotch line and work my way down. I already have that pinned. Okay, so that's done. Now, since I cut both my front and my pieces separately, I just want to make sure that these seams match. And there's just a little slight difference here, so I'm just going to cut that off. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and prep for my little ankle thingy. I'm just going to stretch this out. I'm going to cut off the excess seam. And I'm going to fold this equally in half with the wrong sides together. So I got that done all the way around. I'm going to turn my pants right sides out. I have our pocket here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the seam of this bottom piece. I'm going to place the seam of this on the inside of the leg. So I'm just going to fold this over here and match these seams together. I don't really think it makes a huge difference which way you want it, but I definitely want the seam to be on the inside. That's just my preference. It doesn't matter which way you do it. Alright, so this fits perfectly over my machine when I take my that extra piece out. So you can do like armholes and things like that. So this fits perfectly over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sew between a 1/4 and a 5/8 of an inch seam and go all the way around the pants. I'm going to be pulling the ankle piece, but not the rest of the garment. Got that anchored down. Make sure this is aligned as I go around. that's done. Now that piece there, to finish it off, I'm going to go ahead and serge it. I just want to do some double checking, make sure everything is in there as it should be. I got a little piece of area missed here, so I'm just going to go back over this area right here. And it's just because I didn't pin it, but I'm just going to go back over this area here. So I've got that taken care of. And again, I will serge just to finish off. I won't bore you with those details, but it's very simple. Take me about another minute or two to do. And I can do that later. So what I want to do right now is attach my front and back pieces together. I already have this one right sides out, so I'm going to put this one right sides in. I'm going to place this leg inside the other one. And I'm going to put the seams together, the crotch seams together. And pin it. Then starting with the fronts together, I'm going to go ahead and start sewing a 5/8 of an inch seam around, starting from the front all the way to the back. And I'm going to double seam this, so I'm going to do it once and I'm going to go back in and reinforce it again. Okay, I have that done. I'm going to go back in and reinforce it. Okay, so that portion of the pants is done. The last thing we're going to do is add the waistband, but I just want to show you real quick how these turned out. So we have our front here. That little ankle thingies down here. And we have the back. So it's kind of baggy in the front, which is the effect that I was going for. Not quite like Hiram pants. I don't do those. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my waistband, which I already folded in half. I'm just going to kind of stretch that out a little bit. And I am going to slide this on in here. And I'm taking the seam from my waistband and I'm matching it to the center back seam. Ouch. I'm just kind of pulling this all in here together. I'm stretching it out just for measure, because I'm going to take my center seam for the front and anchor that down with a pin as well. All right. Okay, so I have that done. I'm going to go ahead and place it here on the sewing machine and get that waistband attached. Let's see, I want to make sure this is looking a little bit big because I don't have it folded there. There we go. Okay, so I got that in here. I'm just going to anchor it down. It's stretching the waistband very slightly and not the actual pants. I'm using the 5/8 of a seam allowance for this. Just checking and making sure that I have everything lined up every so often. Got a little bit of a correction to make here. Just want to realign this and see how much I need to stretch this piece. So I'd rather stop and make adjustments and then go back in. Just going to anchor that down. Have everything lined up, and I'm just going to stretch this elastic to accommodate. And I'm stretching on my side, but on this side I'm just guiding it through. That way the tension from me pulling doesn't, alter the shape of my seam line. Pocket there. Coming around the home stretch now. Now, I'm going to go and insert this and also insert a zigzag around this waist area so that when it stretches, nothing comes loose. So, here we go. Here's the sweatpants. I have my cute little pleats here in the front. I have my 2.5 inch or so waistband. I have my 1.5 inch little ankle bands here. And like, we're literally done. So I'm going to try this on, make sure it fits, see if I have to do any adjustments, go ahead and serge my finishes so that I can have a complete document. This is Janice with Needles and Fashion, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll be back because I got plenty more to do this weekend. Have a good one.